So I'm wearing a necklace, and I call it my love necklace, but it's actually called a prayer rope. And it's made of glass and beads and little silver sacred heart medals all the way from Italy. Uh, the message from Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, is embedded, woven right into the necklace using Morse code. So the silver crystals are dots and the white crystals are the dashes. And why am I talking about a necklace? Well, I was invited to speak a little bit about uh, my faith in action, my faith in daily life. And I think, like many people, when I hear the word faith, I often think of religion, and particularly sort of physical markers of religion. Whether it's going to mass or the various rituals and sacramentals that we weave into our lives to support or remind us of our connection with God. So, for instance, starting my day with centering prayer, or ending it by lighting a candle and listening to beautiful music with my husband in what we call our evening Compline service, are examples of this. Reading poetry, reading the mystics, both the ancient and contemporary mystics, reading the reflections on this website, which I so appreciate for the diversity of voices. These are all examples, and like the beads on this necklace, are sort of encoded markers of faith. Also, like the necklace, though, they support and remind, but they alone can't do the heavy lifting of faith, which seems to me requires both other-centered action and some sort of dynamic movement in our heart, in our hearts. So the Franciscan priest and writer Richard Rohr says that you can always tell a spiritually evolved person not by what they say, but by the fact that they're the ones always smiling in the room. And this certainly jives with my own experience. The God of my understanding loves without limit, loves wildly, crazily, generously, so much so that we almost can't bear it. And though I fail much more often than I succeed, my goal, my goal in daily living is to connect with the source of that tremendous love, to hold some of it and to share it with others. Samuel Beckett famously wrote, "Fail better." And I wonder maybe if that's a message that should be in my prayer rope, because I get up in the morning on good days and I pray and I write and I feel so connected to all that is good in the universe, spacious, my heart is open, and I mean, I could practically float. And then something happens. Maybe I hear hammering. The neighbor may be actually putting in a lawn sign with a message that differs wildly from my own politics. Or maybe my husband enters the room wanting to talk about a controversial subject. Or, like yesterday, my cat Lucy, who's normally a very spiritual feline, drops a dead centipede in her water bowl. Well, suddenly I am offended. My sensibilities are offended, or I am defended. I begin to judge. And that connection, which had been this sort of spaciousness that had been nurtured, is suddenly gone. That's a bit of a sad story. If that were the end of the story, it would just be awful. But for me, anyway, that's the beginning of the story of how faith works in my daily life. The real story is in trying again, in failing better, like Beckett said. Now, I have a quote here from Thomas Merton. And he writes, our job is to love others without stopping to inquire whether or not they're worthy. It's not our business, and in fact, it's nobody's business. What we're asked to do is to love. And this love itself will render both ourselves and our neighbors worthy. Dorothy Day wrote something similar. She put it more simply. She said, I really only love God, as much as I love the person I love the least. And another quote here I have is by the English poet William Blake, who wrote, "For everything that lives is holy." Those three together are important when I think about my faith. My faith is rooted in these related or twin concepts of holiness and love, not as lofty abstractions, but as real in everyday life, in the here and now, the down and dirty, the sacred and present moment. Which means for me slowing down enough to recognize or remember the holiness in my neighbor's pounding, in the sign even, in his political opinions which dare to differ from my own, or in my husband's desire to talk at a time that maybe it doesn't work for me, or it's in his opinions, or in even maybe that poor centipede, dearly departed centipede, or in Lucy's offering it as a gift. The love I'm after is not easy. It's not surface level. It's not uninformed. It does not bury its head in the sand or fail to acknowledge the pain of our individual and personal lives and in the larger world. I'm working for a love that continues in the face of rejection, disappointment, brokenness, and fill in the blank, pandemic, chaos, racial upheaval, injustice, economic upheaval, injustice. I am learning or wanting to love in a way that allows for all of it. And isn't that what the Gospels are all about? The poet Mary Oliver wrote, "Someone I once loved gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift." And it is a gift. It's not an easy gift, but I find that my faith increasingly requires me to hold not only the good, the easy, the pleasurable, the like-minded, but the difficult, the ugly, the smelly, the antagonistic. And almost miraculously, I find that my heart expands in direct proportion to my ability to hold these things. And okay, so I've talked about a necklace and a dead centipede and a lawn sign, and what I really want to say is that real love is difficult. That's, I guess, the hard news. Real love is difficult, but the good news is that it's our truest calling, and we're made for it. I may fail 100 times a day at love. I do fail 100 times a day at love. But as long as I get up and try again, fail better 101 times a day, I've done my work.